It started with a spark, a sharp pop, and then the most satisfying scream I'd ever heard. From over the fence came Lisa, my insufferable neighbor, hollering like her designer boots had just burst into flames. Technically, it was her son's ATV charger that went up in smoke, and technically, she had it coming. You don't siphon electricity from an electrical engineer and expect to stroll away unscathed. Not after I'd warned her, not after she brushed me off, and definitely not after she smirked and said, "It's just a little power, chill out." Oh, I chilled out. All right, I chilled her whole backyard with enough juice to turn her knockoff ATV into a barbecue grill. But let's back up. You need the full story of how we arrived at this glorious moment of poetic payback. Because it didn't begin with fireworks, it began with a tiny flicker on my energy monitor. I'm not your average guy with a voltmeter and a vendetta. I'm a systems engineer who builds power grids for data centers. Electricity's my thing. So when my solar setup started showing unexplained dips during the dead of night, I noticed. Most people wouldn't, but I'm not most people. I live in a sleepy suburb where folks gush over perfect lawns and organic mulch. I keep to myself, tweaking my home system, and keeping an eye out for anything off. That week, I spotted it. Every night between 1 and 3 a.m., a 1.8 kilowatt-hour drop that didn't match any of my appliances, not the AC, not the spa, not my battery backup. Something outside was leeching my power. That's when I suspected Lisa. You know the type: flashy sunglasses, a voice like a megaphone, and zero respect for boundaries. She moved in 2 years ago after a nasty split, bringing with her a trail of bad choices, boozy brunches, ignored HOA rules she somehow dodged, and a knack for inventing neighborhood laws she'd enforce like a dictator. She once chewed out a kid for skateboarding too near her roses. Lately, though, her obsession was this loud, over-the-top electric ATV she'd bought her teenage son. It was a beast and it needed juice. I first saw the Eve wide denke while pruning bushes, an orange extension cord slithering over the fence from her yard, vanishing behind my shed. I blinked. No way, I thought. I don't even have an outdoor outlet there unless. Nah, she wouldn't dare. That night, I flipped off all my exterior breakers but one, just to test. Sure enough, the next morning's logs showed a dip at 2:12 a.m. I traced the fence and found the cord gone, tucked away, but not before I snapped photos. Time to talk. I approached her politely. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe her kid didn't know. I rang her bell. She answered in workout gear, shades perched on her head, mimosa in hand, like she ruled the cul-de-sac. I mentioned the power drain, asked if anyone might have tapped my outlet. She grinned. Oh, that? Yeah, we borrowed a little charge while our garage gets fixed. You've got solar, right? You won't miss it. I explained that's not how it works, electricity or consent. She patted my arm. Relax, you're such a nerd. It's not like we're jacking your car. I walked away before I lost it, but my gears were turning. I reported it to the HOA. 3 days later, I got a letter warning me about hostile neighbor behavior and unsafe fence mods. Lisa had flipped it, claiming I'd rigged deadly traps to shock her family. I was floored but done playing nice. I'm not confrontational, but mess with my grid and lie about it? You've entered my arena. Lisa didn't know who she was dealing with. She thought I was just the quiet solar guy. She didn't know I'd built fail-safes for military servers or a hospital backup grid from scraps and coffee. She definitely didn't know her midnight heist was about to become a costly light show. That night, I sketched a plan, a decoy outlet she couldn't resist, wired to a legal, safe, but brutal surprise. It'd trash any charger pulling over 3 amps, no risk to people, but an ATV charger? Toast. I set it up on my side of the fence, angled to look neglected, tied to a shed junction. 3 nights later, the cord reappeared. At 2:17 a.m., my log spiked, a blue flash lit the yard, a pop rang out, and then Lisa's shriek, a banshee wail cutting the silence. Her son bolted out in boxers, staring as his ATV smoked like a fog machine. I'd never grinned wider. That was just the opener. The next morning, Lisa stomped around in flip-flops, ranting about sabotage and calling the fire department. I sipped coffee, watching like it was a sitcom. The cord was gone, the ATV tarped, and she was on her phone, no doubt spinning a tale of near death. Except it was just a fried charger and karma with a plug. By noon, an HOA guy in khaki showed up, clipboard in hand, lecturing me about unauthorized devices. Lisa had complained again. I explained the outlet was mine, legal, and coded. I didn't mention the surge loop safe for humans, lethal for thieves. He scribbled notes and left. I knew she'd escalate. So I did too, not with spite, but precision. I upgraded the trap, a data logger and a gnome, pinging my phone with every plug-in, triggering a spike if it hit the limit. I added birdhouse cameras and a decoy cord, wired to fry if yanked. 3 nights passed quietly. Then, at 1:42 a.m., my phone buzzed. 2.7 kilowatt-hour draw. Surge triggered. The feed showed a flash, a twitch, and the ATV wheezing its last. Lisa's sun flailed, unplugging too late. Smoke curled up. System flawless. I didn't wait for another HOA fine. I printed logs and screenshots, marched to their office, and laid it out. The clerk, Mary, scowled as she flipped through. She plugged in without permission? Twice. I nodded, citing bylaws on utility theft. Mary sighed. Lisa had bored allies but suggested I remove the outlet. Mary, I said, this HOA finds mailbox colors but ignores illegal hookups. I could go off-grid for 6 months if I wanted. Enforce the rules, or I'll take this to the city. She blinked. I left. That night, Lisa pounded on my door, fuming. What did you do to my ATV? I feigned ignorance. She yelled about her traumatized son. Maybe you shouldn't steal power, I said. She threatened a lawsuit. I handed her a USB. What's this? She snapped. Proof you picked the wrong guy. I replied, shutting the door. She didn't knock again, but I knew she'd retaliate. I was ready. 3 days later, a cop arrived. Lisa claimed I'd rigged a deadly DIV-YC. I showed him footage, logs, schematic safe, just thief proof. He laughed. She's got no case. This is theft. Lisa glared from across the street as he left, daring me. I ignored her. The HOA sent a DULA 500 fine for hazardous setups. I countered with my EVY Denke, CCing the city and utility board. Then neighbors approached, Dan, with his fancy grill, Sarah, the quiet waiver, the Chen's caterers. They'd noticed power glitches to fridges warming, lights resetting. Lisa had hit them all. We formed Zap Patrol, a chat that grew from 10 to 23. She'd been juicing half the block. At the next HOA meeting, we brought USBs, logs, and a police report. Lisa squirmed as we spoke. She yelled about harassment and community power. The room erupted. Even her ally, Tim, couldn't save her. Her PRIVY legies were suspended. Fines loomed. She stormed out. Then the kicker, her party's lights, fridges, karaoke ran on stolen power. The utility board investigated, pegging her theft at over 3,000 kilowatt-hours. Fines hit DULA 1,800, plus legal costs. She denied it all, but the data didn't lie. Neighbors united, the HOA reformed, and Lisa? Isolated, her ATV sold, her son mowing lawns. One day, she mumbled an apology. I didn't buy it fully, but maybe it was a start. Peace settled. No spikes, no cords, just quiet. I'd wired it myself, and when Lisa tried to steal it, I gave her a jolt she'd never forget.